All right, guys.
$3.
One day,
same tree.
Same tree.
Oh my God, I'm so
Woo!
Holy shit! Get a shot of these.
2 farms this year. Number 1 is done.
Did you say bye, Kevin?
I did. I already did. Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin.
Bye, Kevin. Bye, Kevin.
Smoked it, buddy. Look at that. You destroyed it.
Joey takes
The shop is closing up.
Make sure he takes all his right antlers.
All right, guys. Deer Shop Podcast, episode 45 today.
We are coming up on a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the first thing I have written down here. We are coming up on episode 51, which would be 1 year since we missed a week, thanks to Tyler and the Zoo Buck and that whole situation in October.
Yep.
But episode 51 is going to be our 1 year anniversary episode. I would love to get as many people around this table as we can just to chit-chat and have a shop talk. I don't know if that'll be possible with everyone's schedule, so if it's not, we might actually just kind of do a highlight reel for episode 51.
So by the time that hits, it'll be July?
Like first week of July.
First week of July. So we'll really be starting to get into some velvet bucks.
Yeah, we'll start knowing what's going on, velvet buck-wise. Today's podcast is just kind of a bullshit session with me and Isaac. It's a little an SBO update. We have a long list of things that we're going to podcast about this summer that I'm going to get to at the end of this episode. But we're kind of strapped for time, which has been a theme with us lately. A lot of working in the summertime. If you know anything about us, summertime is our busy time. I'm actually going back to work tomorrow off of...
Yeah, I'm hugged between 2 48s right now. Got off of 48 this morning, go for another 48 tomorrow.
And my baby leave ends today, so I go back to the real world and full-time working again tomorrow. So we're going to be very busy this summer, but we'll still be able to bring you a weekly podcast.
Yeah, kind of, besides what we're talking about today with the food plotting and the farm stuff, there's not really much else going on. It's the end of May.
No
turkey hunting, shooting some groundhogs. It's about the only thing we're hunting.
Isaac didn't turn the air compressor off.
You might be able to hear that.
That's all right. The big news, I guess, there's 2 things I really want to touch on social media-wise in this podcast. The 2 big things are, number 1, we're starting, at least I'm starting, I'm going to get some help from these guys, a new series on our channel called the Family Dream Farm. For the last 8 years, we've done a series called SBO Live, which starts at shed hunting season, goes all the way through the end of deer season, and then we've done that for 8 years in a row, between 15 and 25 episodes a year. All of our stories from the entire year were encompassing in that series, and then I would also throw out minisodes. There's 140, I think there's 144. Varying time length minisodes that were filmed in that period of time. And that's kind of what we did in the summertime, and then incorporated our turkey hunting, our trout fishing, our beach trips.
Last year it kind of got a little changed because we did the Deer Camp Chronicles.
Yep. Last year we decided to end SBO Live in the summertime. Our last episode was around August, September. It was kind of like our Velvet Buck going into deer season episode. We ended SBO Live and we decided to start doing the Deer Camp Chronicles, which was focused solely on our deer hunting. And it was awesome. So going into this year, we decided to do it with turkey season as well. So we did the Turkey Camp Chronicles, which just ended. Our last episode aired a couple days ago. So by the time this podcast airs, it'll be a week. We were able to get 5 episodes in this year.
Yeah, which did about what we thought it would. It wasn't super successful, but none of the turkey hunting stuff on YouTube is.
No, I mean, when it comes to individual views, it was our most viewed turkey hunting stuff we've ever put out.
Definitely our most viewed season of turkey hunting.
Yeah, for sure. Usually turkey hunting's pretty slow for our channel. You know, shout out to all the Western hunters and the deer camp guys that make up the majority of our audience. They don't watch a ton of turkey hunting in the spring and our fishing stuff. So our turkey hunting stuff did okay, all things considered. I was happy with it.
Yeah, a lot of the deer hunting stuff still getting watched because people are getting ready. And a lot of the Western hunting stuff is getting watched right now because it's application season. So everybody's putting in for tags, doing research, getting excited for their hunts.
Yeah, the 2 bear films and then your mountain muleys, which is that buck up there. Those are the 3 Western films that are chugging along right now, and our number 1 video, and it kind of has been off and on trading with the bear film from this year. Our number 1 video for the last 6 months or so has been Home Farm Deer Camp, and it's still our number 1 video right now. It's still ripping, so that was our major episode from last year's season, and it's doing very well still.
But then the West Virginia stuff still chugs along as well.
Yeah, our West Virginia stuff still going. A couple of our deer camps down there are going. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but the second part I want to get to, I guess we can finish on Home Farm or the Family Dream Farm. So the Family Dream Farm that we're going to new series is going to come out. It's going to be basically all of our projects, improvements, and events that happen right here around the deer shop and on the family farm in the next couple months leading up to deer season. Lots of habitat stuff. All my food plotting stuff that we're going to talk about today will be included in that series. Mineral licks, some general farm maintenance stuff, our trails, taking care of our lake, our events that we hold family-wise up at the lake. Maybe some stuff around the farmhouse here.
Yeah, it kind of just gives it a home for it all to
it's going to be kind of focused on what we do around here. It's going to be a new series that we're really going to enjoy. And then we will start the Deer Camp Chronicles again come September when we go to Kentucky, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, so what are we doing velvet deer scouting-wise? Is that going to be Dream Farm or is that going to be its own series?
I will probably do, when it comes to velvet, we don't start that till like 4th of July weekend, a little bit after that. Once the bucks start to become kind of what they're going to be is when we will start
driving around glass and beans.
And I actually want to start doing some permanent sets near the road for some dedicated velvet filming this year. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the velvet stuff will be probably its own short film, sort of like I did with our shed hunting this year. I put all our shed hunting into about a 25-minute short film this year, just wrapped it all up in one video, and it did pretty well. I was happy with it. That's probably what our velvet will be, and we'll air that right before our Kentucky series starts in September for Deer Camp Chronicles. But I'm also going to ask you about our Western hunting stuff in a little bit. I'll get to that. I just want to wrap up the family Dream Farm stuff. The first episode you can expect around the first week of June. I'll probably have it out. There'll be an introduction where I'll kind of preface everything we're going to do, and then I'm going to get right into some food plotting, some trail maintenance, some other stuff we've done.
Because you've already done a whole lot of stuff.
I've been filming for it for a while.
Now, are all our food plots?
Spring food plots are done.
Officially
100% done. We are doing nothing else with the spring food plots. We do have some fall plots planned. I have that written down here. We'll get to it in a minute. The second thing I want to stress right here at the beginning, the Leaky Jon Boat Company, Luke's fishing channel. You can see some of his merchandise here on the table, the shirts that me and I are both wearing, and our hats. I'm wearing. All from the LeakyJonBoatCompany.com. Please, if you are a fan of this podcast or the Siman Brothers Outdoors videos or the Leaky Jon Boat, we ask that you go over, go to Luke's channel, the Leaky Jon Boat Company on YouTube, give it a like, because he's at 785 subscribers right now. He needs 1,000 to get monetized, and his videos lately have been really ripping good.
Yeah, he's been chugging out a weekly video for I think the past 6 weeks. Getting
some good watch hours, and he can't get paid for them yet because he's not quite at that 1,000 subscribers mark, which we need to get him to. He's close. He's at 785. So if you're a fan of the fishing stuff or what we do in here, go over and like his channel for us. We would really appreciate that. And if you really like what we do, go onto the website, theleakyjonboatcompany.com, to search it on Google. It'll pop right up. We have all these hats. There's probably 50 different hats. He custom made every single one himself for sale on there. All our shirts, the Deer Shop podcast shirts, the SBO shirts.
All his logos he makes, he designs.
Yeah, this was all 100% Luke designed on his own. It's all for sale. They're not expensive. It would really help him out. He would very much appreciate it. All the traffic to the website will help him out. Make sure you go and subscribe. He's been hammering the smallmouth fishing videos and the walleye trolling videos. Unfortunately for Luke, his walleye trolling videos are doing very, very, very good, and he hates walleye fishing. He doesn't hate it, but it's not his preferred fishing whatsoever.
Yeah, walleye fishing around here, it's kind of commercialized. If anybody knows about Lake Erie walleye fishing.
There's probably 4 or 5 places in the world where the walleye fishing is as good as it is
I don't think there's anywhere.
Green Bay, and then some of the Lake Michigan stuff, it's pretty good. But, I mean, Northeast Ohio, Lake Erie, walleye fishing is incredible.
Mecca, the epicenter of walleye fishing.
And Luke goes out on the weekend with himself or our dad or maybe a couple of his buddies. He's had Jeb out there. He's had Will out there, Kyle. They go out and they catch their limit of walleye in 2 hours, catch a bunch of 25-inch fish, makes a video, comes back, gets a ton of views. But he hates doing it. His true love and passion, which one of these hats is the smallmouth hat right here? His true love and passion is smallmouth bass fishing these small streams. A couple podcasts ago, we had Gavin from Wild Time TV on here. We talked about smallmouth fishing these small streams. Luke goes very often. He catches, we're talking 2, 3, 4 pound smallmouth in streams as big as this room.
Tiny little streams.
Loves it. Makes these awesome videos of him catching these fish, and they just don't do as good as the walleye trolling videos here in Northeast Ohio. He would love. He's actually looking. Hey, get in here, Luke. He just came home from work. Jump on here real quick. You want to get in on podcast or what?
What are you talking about?
All right, right now we're talking about the Leaky Jon Boat, smallmouth fishing, and subscribing to your channel.
Don't jump
All right. We're going to take a quick pause to get Luke on the channel or on the podcast.
All right, Luke's in.
Check.
Check 1, 2, 3, and we're starting over again. Well, we're not starting over, but Luke's in. So
we were talking about Luke and the Leaky Jon Boat Company, and he just rolls in the driveway off of work and shows up. So hey, Luke, welcome.
Yeah. So we were talking about how you hate walleye fishing, even though those are your best videos. Was your last video a walleye video, or has that one not come out yet?
My last video is a walleye video, and
it's doing good.
2,000 views already in the first 40 hours and
Ripping.
5
So when
subs.
were you with Jeb?
Yep.
I mean,
And that was just Saturday, so.
Your YouTube stuff right now is absolutely destroying our YouTube stuff view-wise. So, I mean, kudos to you.
Which it should be, because it's fishing season.
Yeah, we told the audience already that you're at 785, and we need everyone that likes this to go and watches this to go like and subscribe to your channel.
Yeah.
And we talked about your merchandise. I have a bunch of stuff written down here for podcasts in the future at the end that we're going to get to, but one of them is going to be with the Breaking Point guys. Don't know how much we've talked about it on the air, but that hat you're wearing right there is not our hat, but that is a logo design that you made and sold to the Breaking Point, and then they made hats out of it. And I mean, that hat's awesome, by the way.
This hat is my favorite hat for sure.
So Luke makes a bunch of designs. We already talked about it, all the stuff on the table, all the stuff we're wearing right now. But he also sells some designs here and there to some bigger YouTube channels, and that's one of them. Pretty cool story. We're going to get those guys on here to talk about their hunting stuff in the future. I just got to coordinate. If anyone runs a podcast or anything like that, you know how hard it is to coordinate all these people to get on a weekly podcast. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. But we were talking about smallmouth fishing when you interrupted us coming in here. So we had the podcast a few weeks ago with Gavin. Already talked about smallmouth fishing, small streams. Have you been since that podcast? Have you done any fishing?
I've gone walleye fishing and crappie fishing. I don't think I've been smallmouth fishing, though.
Was it about time to hit it again?
Yeah, right now it's a good time to definitely be in the rivers and hitting smallmouth in the upper tributaries.
Especially since it's going to rain for the next 2 weeks. So the rivers are probably going to get blown out soon.
Oh, yeah.
I do kind of want to do a series for you, and I think it's going to – we talked about the Family Dream Farm series I'm going to do. I think it's going to be kind of a dual series. I'll probably show a little bit of the farm pond fishing in that series because we have a couple farm ponds here at the farm. But I also want to make some content for you to put on your channel, see if people like that. You know, just fishing for bass and catfish in our ponds here. I'm going to get to that later this summer when I'm done screwing around in the woods, which we are now because spring plots are finally done. But yeah, I had that listed as the second thing I wanted to talk about. And then the third thing I wanted to talk about moving forward, actually, it's perfect that Luke is here. I want to talk about our spring food plots. We finally got them all done. Luke actually was the first one to get his plot done. His lease, he has I would say, quarter to a third of an acre.
Pretty small.
Not even.
Small.
Yeah, this year is actually probably like an eighth an acre.
Yeah, bottomland food plot. Mm-hmm. There's actually a small pond that connects to it, and then you have a watering hole dug, and then a food plot around it. Last year, I ran some cameras on the edge of this food plot, and I got all of the bucks that we wanted to kill or that were shooters on your lease on that camera coming in and out of your food plot in November. You obviously stopped hunting on October 22nd.
Yep.
But after that period of time, there was shooter bucks in daylight coming through your food plot. Last year, what did you plant last year?
Last year was like a brassica mix with like clover, but the clover never came up. So it was just like brassica, turnips, stuff like that in the fall.
The bullshit that we plant in the fall that
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it just does shit.
And now you have clover. And what was that other crap that was in your Snapchat? Was that weeds or was that something?
No, you put alfalfa and chicory.
There's alfalfa, chicory, and clover, but in the Snapchat was clover and dockweed and
so once that stuff grows up a little bit, you'll be able to mow it off.
Yep,
hopefully. And spray. We're gonna use some spray this year,
and then we should have a pretty good little hayfield food plot.
So did you take down the tiller and till it with the tractor this year?
Yep.
Okay, so you were able to get in there before the farmers had the fields planted.
I actually was in there tilling the same day they were tilling their field. Yep. So it was early.
Like a month ago, right? That was like early.
Yeah, your food plot's way ahead of where ours is right now. I would say it's probably 4 or 5 inches already up out of the ground.
Yeah, the clover's probably 2 or 3 inches, and like the alfalfa and stuff is same height. So
it's gonna be a challenge with the weeds in the springtime. Ours are gonna be the same way, which I'm gonna talk about here in a second. These springtime food plots, it's a challenge to keep the weeds under control. We're gonna use a combination of mowing and spraying. There are some things you
Yeah.
can spray on clover that will kill just the weeds, the grasses.
Which we talked about last week a little bit with Nico. It was 2,4-D.
Well, yeah,
he knew a lot about it, a lot more than we do.
What you can spray on clover, which is Whitetail Institute makes a product called Arrest Max, is clethodim. It's clethodim. Okay. That will kill grasses only in like a broadleaf type clover food plot.
Keep the clover.
It'll be a little bit hard on the chicory, but the chicory is a pretty hardy plant. If you spray it light, it should kill most of the grasses, and then the mowing should take care of the mare's tail and all that bullshit weeds that we have around.
And this
here.
has been an extremely weird year because we had no late frost.
No,
so I don't know exactly.
It didn't get cold.
I don't know exactly when our last frost was, but I know a lot of the hay fields were having issues with wild mustard and all that
So
stuff.
the hay fields around here, if anyone's like a farmer listening to this, I'm sure you guys all know in Northeast Ohio, the wild mustard came up last year. Like, so everyone, just the timing of putting a new hayfield in last year for everyone in the state of Ohio brought up the wild mustard and it survived all fall.
Yeah.
And then now it's all blooming and people are tilling hayfields under and stuff like that because
big
horses
hayfield
can't
over
eat
by
it and
our
stuff.
house, Scott.
Yeah, how big is the neighbor's hayfield that they had to redo?
22 acres?
22 acres of freshly planted hay just fucked and redone.
Yeah. Now
Which
it's
our
beans.
farmer was doing it, the same farmer that's doing ours. And
Did they redo hay or they put beans
They
in there?
drilled in beans last week.
So that's going to be good for the deer, I guess, in the early season.
Yeah.
But like I said, and a lot of the farmers got their crops in early this year, so that might have some implications come fall. We have corn on the farm. It's almost a foot high already, and it's Memorial Day. I don't remember ever seeing corn.
Half of our farm is corn, and it's literally 12 inches tall, and then half our farm is beans, and they're already 4 or 5 inches
There's been
tall.
years where farmers haven't even got corn until the beginning of June.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
We are going to be in very good shape when it comes to the farms, the fields, the crops this fall.
And my lease just got in beans like
They got them in late.
yesterday. So
Because
they're going to be green
Your
beans.
farmers are usually a little bit behind everybody else.
Yeah.
Right, but that's just how they operate on that farm. So
Which is going to be sweet because you'll have your food plot, corn on half of it, beans on the other half that are still green.
Yeah, you hunt the beans early, hunt the corns late, hunt the food plot in the middle.
Yeah, you're
perfect.
You're set. We're watching turkey hunt on your farm right now
Yep.
on TV. So Luke's food plot, that we just covered it. Clover, alfalfa, chicory, got it in early. Got to play with the weeds, which are already getting a little out of control. Our home farm here, I put in 2 food plots, about 2 acres worth, maybe a little bit over 2 acres worth of food plots. I totally redid them this spring completely. Tilled down, sprayed twice, I believe, actually. Killed it down to bare earth, disked it, then tilled it, disked it again, tilled it again, killed it down to nothing. For the first time, we used Deer Grow this year, which is a liquid fertilizer and soil builder, because we didn't have the ability to put lime on. I don't have a lime spreader yet. That might be the next big thing we have to purchase as a farm.
We scrapped our lime spreader because it was
rusted
out.
We're going to need a lime spreader eventually.
Which, looking back, we probably could have fixed that, but
we definitely could have fixed it.
anyways.
We are going to get a lime spreader eventually, but this year I used liquid lime, basically, the Deer Grow.
Which is expensive.
Yeah, it was $90 for 2 containers of it, which was enough to do our food plots. I got all the seed in right before a good rain. Everything prepped perfectly, and I went and checked them for the first time today. I did clover, alfalfa, and I did red clover, white clover, and chicory this year. I did not do alfalfa, and I did do some screening. These are the 2 mixes I put in: the Hot Chick from Domain and the Incognito from Domain as our screening. I went and checked it today.
So your screening was 2 different mixes?
Nope. The screening is this Incognito. Oop, not that one. That's the Hot Chick.
Okay.
The Incognito was the screening.
Gotcha.
And the Hot Chick was the clover. I can tell you exactly what's on right now. Antler chicory, Imarowin, red clover, Vipier, balanced, white clover. 39%, 24%, 14%.
Cool.
And then our screening is Egyptian wheat and grain sorghum. The Egyptian wheat's the stuff that gets super tall.
Yep.
It does a very good job. Went and checked these food plots today. They've been in the ground maybe a week. We got 2 or 3 good rains on them. I shouldn't say good rains. 2 or 3.
We haven't got any good rains.
No, but we have got some rain. It has rained. The south side food plot is coming up really good, really thick, looks great. The north side food plot is coming. The screening is coming in good, but the clover chicory part, I don't know if it's because I didn't seed it as thick as the south side, maybe because it's a little bit bigger, but it's a lot more sparse. And I don't know if that soil is just not as good because we've been planting it. I guess they've both been in operation the same amount of time, but it's a little bit of a taller in elevation food plot, so it drains, so the soil doesn't hold as much moisture.
Yeah, it's more of an open field. The south side's more like
it's down bottom.
A reclaimed woods that we turn into a plot.
And it holds a little bit more moisture, so it's coming up better. Obviously, the verdict is we have a long ways to go before I got to worry about redoing anything, but the south side's way ahead of the north side at this point. And I'm very happy with what the south side looks like. That north side, we'll see how sparse it is. If it's terrible, I can always replant something in the fall. Don't want to, but I might have to throw some stuff in there.
That would be a giant waste, but...
Yeah, but I mean, we're probably only $400 into both food plots this year, so it wouldn't be a terrible, horrible waste, but we were able to get a good deal on Domain. Actually, a coworker of Matt's named Dakota he works for Domain or is a rep for Domain, something along those lines.
He was able to give us a discount.
He was able to help us out and get a bunch of seed. And I've used it in the past. I was actually cleaning out the barn the other day, and I was finding Domain bins that I've used in the past. So this is seed that we have used in the past, and we'll see how it does. But we got them in. We are going to do some fall food plots. I have that written down next. Tyler Nick's major lease has no spring plots on it right now. It has some holdover plots from last year. I checked the clover plot that's been there for about 5 or 6 years. There is still some clover coming up, but it's in bad shape with the weeds, and it'll need redone. We're going to do all of that this fall. There's going to be no spring food plot going on Tyler and Nick's lease. Nick bought a mini, and he has plans of going in there and increasing the size of the food plots this late summer, early fall when we do that. So we'll see if time allows him to get in there, but the plan is to get Nick's Mini in there at their lease and make these food plots even bigger than they are now. We've kind of made them as big as we can with a chainsaw and a tractor and a blade. So
yeah, we'll see.
Getting the Mini in there might be able to increase some size. But we didn't plan any spring plots on theirs. I have the Gore Farm listed too. The Gore Farm food plots came in very well, but they will need some weed control in the coming weeks. They have clover chicory plots, 3 good clover chicory plots that were super good during turkey season, but as the turkey season progressed and the summer moved in, the weeds have started to kind of take over.
Yeah,
so
and
we'll have to get down
some
there.
mowing might help that for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to go down there and try to spray. We actually have a plan to go down there next week, actually, and I might be able to get some spray, hit their food plots next week while we're down there. The cabin's coming along too. We're going down next week to actually finish the upstairs mudding. We probably won't be able to get to the sanding, but the drywall's in. It needs mudded, sanded, and painted. We're going to go down next week, mud the drywall, get the dimensions for sure what we need on the flooring.
And then it looks like that thing will be completed by deer season.
Yeah, by deer season, the second deer camp should be finished down at the Gore Farm. We're going to get the minerals out, cell cameras all taken care of. Maybe I'll be able to get to spray. I'm probably going to take my quad. I'll just take my truck and we'll take my quad down there. Spray the food plots. Get a lot of stuff done when we go down next week.
That farm's going to be exciting this fall.
They got a farmer in. They didn't have a farmer last year, so the fields kind of went back to like a CRP weed situation, about 20 acres of fields.
Was it just last year or 2 years?
No, just last year because the farmer died. So the fields went from grassland CRP to a year of beans. That year of beans, the bucks on that farm were out of control. Then last year back to CRP because their farmer died, and then they got a farmer for this year. So they will be getting crops in. There's already some really good bucks running around down there. We had obviously a really good turkey season down there. Lots of plans on going down. And having the completed cabin will make it so much nicer. We can go down. Yeah. We can go down in the evening, hunt, spend the night in the cabin, hunt the next morning, come back. We can make it a 12-hour operation, and we can do that many times, and it'll be a lot of fun. That's pretty much the update on everything local, food plot wise, cabin wise, our local hunting stuff.
Yeah, farm wise.
I want to get Isaac on the mic here for a little bit. Luke, if you got to leave, you can dip out now.
I'm out of here.
Luke's out.
See ya.
Thanks talking.
Peace out, Luke. We're going to get Isaac out here, and I want to ask about his Western hunting updates. What tags did you guys draw? What hunts do you have planned? We'll talk a little bit about Jay's bear hunt and our buddy Ryan Kasich and Seth Dickens. Ryan's been on the YouTube videos since the beginning. They just got back from a bear hunt, and our buddy Jay was just out on a bear hunt. We'll get to that in a little bit, but I want to talk to Isaac about what tags he drew and what the Western hunting plan is for this fall.
For us this year, we kept it relatively simple. Life's busy, so we're only getting 2 weeks.
Life's busier.
Very busy right now. We are taking 2 weeks, me and Dylan. It's just going to be us two on the trip this year. We're going to Utah for an early season high country velvet mule deer hunt. So it's the same hunt we did 2 years ago where I shot that forker up there. We have a different plan going in this year. We saw a lot of big bucks. If anybody hasn't seen that video, go check out Mountain Muleys.
Mountain Muleys.
A lot of people are still watching. A lot of people are still commenting.
Yeah, it's been in our top 5 videos for like the last 6-7 months. So
yeah. So I'm not really going to share any locations or anything like that because Western hunting is insane, as people know. But we drew this tag. We're going in mid-August. I think we're leaving here like August 15th. We're going to hunt the first 2 weeks of the season. We might miss the opening weekend, which is fine because there's a lot of people hunting it. It's a general tag. There's not a whole lot to say about it. It's not a really hard tag to draw. It's not like it's limited entry or anything. And it's some really hard country, no water, high country, lots of hunters, and lots of competition, but we'll see what we can do.
So I was talking with Ethan about this the other day, off camera. You're not doing anything in Montana this year.
No.
So there will be zero Montana hunting for Isaac this year for the first time in a while.
So we sort of talked about it on the podcast, but not a lot. That series will be dropping this fall. Yeah. Or kind of early fall, maybe late summer.
I actually have that. It's written down as the next thing to talk about.
Last year we hunted the Montana General with me, Dylan, and Jay. Filmed a whole bunch. I think I'll have 4 videos that will release.
Are they done yet?
They're pretty much done. All I have to do is finishing touches.
Okay.
So I got to do some title work and some color stuff, and then they'll be ready to go. But the videos are laid out. I think there's 4 episodes. They're from, I think the shortest is like 20 minutes, and the longest is like 45. So quite a lot of content.
And Dylan killed a mule deer with his bow.
Dylan killed a mule deer, probably like 120-inch 4x4. Pretty decent mule deer for eastern Montana where we were archery hunting, which is a very tough spot to archery hunt. Oh, we saw a lot of elk. We saw a lot more deer. We saw all sorts of crazy things. We saw some bears.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of good footage.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I haven't seen any of it or seen anything from that series, so I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, so that series will be probably, I would say, early September, late August is when we'll.
You want to start that when you go out there, like late, get them uploaded, and then we'll find a good time to.
That's probably about the time we'll drop it.
Yeah, because that's about the time that stuff starts heating up.
But that's pretty much it for our Western stuff. Jay's not going with us this year. He drew some sort of rifle tag in Utah, I believe, because he's been doing this for longer, so he had more points, so he couldn't come with us because of the whole point situation. Mm-hmm. So he's hunting a little bit later on, but I think he's going to Utah as well. I don't want to quote exactly.
So no Montana elk or mule deer hunting this year for you guys?
No, because the way that Montana works with non-residents, you can only draw that tag every 2 years.
Okay. So next year it's on the docket?
Yeah, hopefully, if things don't change, because the tags are always becoming harder to come by. So maybe Montana's going to switch to a 3-year thing, but right now it's 2 years, so we should be going back there next year.
Cool.
There would have been a small chance of us drawing this year, but without getting into semantics too much, we're going next year, hopefully.
So Jay and his girlfriend Beth
just
finished up about 7 or 8 day.
Yeah, it's just a week.
Yeah, they did. Jay did some turkey hunting prior, and he said he had a lot of fun, was on a lot of gobblers, and really enjoyed it. Didn't kill one, but he said he would definitely go back and do a Montana-style turkey camp sometime. He was actually pretty excited
Western
about
turkey
it.
Camp.
And then he went into a bear hunt, the spring bear hunt, which would be the 3rd year that someone from our group has kind of gone and done that. Jay's the Harvest Moon Outdoorsman on Instagram if you want to look him up.
Yeah, he's been on the podcast.
He's one of our very good buddies and helps contribute to our social media stuff. Mm-hmm. Him and Beth went out there bear hunting. I heard it didn't go so well. Rained out, cold weather.
Yeah, he was sending us videos and stuff. Literally, it was snowing the whole time.
Yeah, the weather was bad. They didn't see any bears. They saw one driving or something.
Yeah, we haven't got a full rundown because he's actually not even home yet.
No, and I want to get him. I want to try to get him on the podcast at the same time we get Ryan and Seth on if we can. Try to get all those guys together to give a 2024 bear hunting podcast outlook.
Yeah,
no kills. No kills. No. Jay didn't get a kill. Seth and Ryan flew into Idaho.
Yes, they did
back country.
They did a fly-in hunt in Idaho. So I think there's only a couple places you can do that. Idaho being one of them. And
when I asked them how many bears they saw, they said 2 more than us, no kills, 2 elk sheds. So that's the synopsis I got from their bear hunt. They saw 3 bears, no shots, or no kills. I don't know if they took a shot.
I haven't
found 2 elk sheds, I guess. So the bear season for the SBO family was not good. Spring bear season this year was not good.
Hopefully, maybe rolling into fall, we can do some better work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have tags in Pennsylvania and Ohio.
West Virginia.
Or, sorry. Yeah,
Can't
Ohio.
shoot bears in Ohio. Just
West Virginia and Pennsylvania, I will have bear tags while we are hunting. There's always a possibility in West Virginia. There's a lot of bears there, and we've seen the bears. We just haven't ever had the good encounter while hunting for legal bears. And then Pennsylvania, where we go, we've also had bear encounters. We know there's bears in there. We got bears on trail camera, sea bears.
We've never actually been hunting while you were allowed to hunt bears, though.
Not in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But this year, we're going to try to really push Pennsylvania deer season. We've been talking about it for probably 2 or 3 years. We started running trail cameras last year. We never ended up actually making it out there, but this year we really want to make the effort to spend some time hunting. Me and Ethan do need to take a day trip and go pick up his trail cameras. They've been out there for a year now. Some of them,
Hopefully
I'm sure
still
they're
there.
smoked. Half of them
He
are
had
probably
cell
stolen.
cams, and I don't think any of the cell cams are still sending pictures.
No, and we're going to sell those. The next thing I want to talk about before we wrap up is my Deer Stories series that I'm going to run this fall. On the Deer Camp Chronicles, you saw Luke and Isaac and Nick all take really good bucks. They killed good bucks that we have some history here and there with. The most history was with Isaac's buck, a couple years worth, a couple sheds worth. And I'm going to go back and redo those stories in the kind of the SBO format and tell them. And that those will be released probably late September, early October.
They'll just roll us right into deer season.
Yep,
basically.
3 really good episodes. I might do a 4th episode if I don't get too much hate from the guys on deer that are still alive. Some of the guys in the group don't like when I do that, so we'll kind of see how that goes. But there are some deer that are still alive that we have good stories about that I might present before we start filming real hard for the Deer Camp Chronicles. But we are going to do the deer stories here soon.
Yeah, this is a little bit different format because we were chugging videos out so quickly in the fall. We didn't get a chance to tell those stories.
The backstory. Like Isaac, we got Isaac's buck mounted directly above the camera you're watching this on. We have a set of sheds from the back there. 2 years worth of trail camera
and that hunt and that story happened in the gun hunting video, which is still getting a lot of views on YouTube.
Yeah, it's
right
our
now.
number 1 video right now.
But there's not really like the full-on story about the deer.
So we're going to tell the full story about the individual deer. Same with Nick's buck. We have limited history with that. I've been able to compile some more history talking to some of the neighbors that had him. And then we had some summer velvet footage of that buck that we didn't even realize we had until a couple weeks after Nick killed him. And then Luke's buck, which we have a couple years worth of trail camera videos and some encounters with before he ended up killing him. I can tell that whole backstory. That's a pretty fun one too, because Luke had multiple encounters with that buck and multiple opportunities at that buck before he killed him.
So there'll be at least 3, maybe 4 episodes.
Yep. So at least 3, possibly 4 episodes on that.
So
we have a lot of
the whole
August. Late August.
Scheduled.
Late August through October is already set. I have a Sunday night video set up every single weekend, set in stone, no problem.
And then our Monday evening podcast.
Yeah, plus the podcast, and that's the last thing I have written down here. What this summer holds podcast wise. We have a couple series that we're going to run on this podcast. One of them is going to be habitat management, and we have at least 2 experts coming in onto the podcast to talk about that. I'm going to bring in Zach Haas to talk about maximizing water and habitat and food on your property. We were actually supposed to have him on today, but the schedules just didn't quite work out.
Now, where's he from? Is he just his own guy, or does he have a YouTube thing? Or
he has a YouTube thing. He has a company, and he's based out of Wisconsin. I'll share all of that in the podcast when we do it. But he's very big on the proper water usage. Not access, but water for the deer on your farm. We've been doing a lot of water hole stuff. That's going to be in our Family Dream Farm series. I've been working on stuff. I'm actually going to get in the tractor as soon as I'm done in this room. I'm going to jump on the tractor and work on our water holes a little bit. And then I have Jason Say coming on. Some people might know him. He is a big deal in Pennsylvania. Probably one of, he's not as well known maybe as Jeff Sturgis and some of those guys when it comes to food plot stuff. But Jason Say's food plots are some of the best in the country. He hunts just north of us in Pennsylvania, I believe a bunch of private land stuff, and his food plots are incredible. He knows exactly what he's doing. Everything there is to know about food plots, Jason knows about it. He's got a YouTube channel with like 60,000 subs. So yeah, he is a very good expert on that stuff. I've known him through Facebook for many, many years, converse back and forth on Messenger, and we've been going back and forth on getting a day scheduled to have a food plot podcast, and he's all about it. And then we're going to run the highlight of our summer deer hunting podcast series is going to be the city deer, country deer, public deer series. I want to talk.
We're gonna have to have tryouts for who to get on the podcast.
Yeah, so I already have a couple guests lined up for the city deer, country deer, public deer. It's going to be kind of the differences in hunting each type of deer. City deer hunting is a big fad, especially here in Ohio, and with Seek One down in Georgia and Nashville, Tennessee, some of these other places where you're hunting these city lots for giant bucks that are eating grandma's bird seed and rhododendron bushes.
It's almost like we need to do a podcast on each one.
Yeah,
and then
so
bring in a guy from each one to go
so
against each other.
that's what the plan is going to be. I'm going to do my city deer podcast with just city deer hunters. The next week we'll do our country deer podcast. What we hunt here is what I would consider country deer. So we're going to get some like-minded hunters with us. I don't want just our opinion. I'm going to get Nick on the podcast for that. I'm going to get Matt Williams from Born Again Bow Hunting on the podcast for that. That is hunting farm deer 20 miles outside of the city, woods, fields, private land, the typical country deer hunting. I'm going to get that on there. And then I want to talk to some public land hunting experts. There are some areas in this country where all the property is public land. So this land can be accessed at all times of the year by any type of person. And those deer are less crop-induced deer and more big woods and more whatever the government plants, your CRP, your open grassland type deer. So the hunting is different for those types of deer.
And a lot more habitat hunting and
that's your
stuff.
whip rubs, your
rubs,
thermal hubs,
all
all
that
that
stuff.
shit. I'm going to try to get Jacob Emery from DO3 Outdoors. We've been in contact with him about doing a podcast. We were going to do one about turkey hunting, but that's kind of past now. So I'm going to try to get him on to be kind of our public land deer hunting guy.
But with it being such a fad right now, there's so many resources.
And I
we
might
can
be able to
tap into.
try to get, I'm going to talk to Joey and try to get some of the guys maybe from Latitude to kind of join in on that one too, because they go around the country hunting public land deer. That series is going to be kind of big. I want to air that probably in July or August as we start heading into deer season. Just to give the 3 different hunting perspectives on the white-tailed deer. The city deer thing is a huge thing. I have Jason Salzner lined up to be one of our guests. He hunts a very big farm in a local city, literally touching city limits of a local city. So he has a lot of experience. His deer hunting is a lot different than ours. If he doesn't see 50 deer a night, it's a failure for him. You know, we consider 10 deer, 20 deer a very good hunt. If he doesn't see 50, he's mad because he's hunting suburban deer. He runs a dual feeder system with 10 acres of food plots surrounding this dual feeder system. He actually used our corn planter last week to put in field corn food plot. And it's a totally different ball game that we're doing out here on these country deer. You know, our deer are definitely less used to humans than his, and moving in a different rate than his. And his deer, the deer that he's hunting, he's reading on social media pages 1 mile into the city running through a park, and that same night he's having encounters with them just outside the city. It's a different ball game.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about all that.
Yep, we'll talk about all that. And then we have a couple of the big YouTube outfits that we have been in contact with that we want to get on the podcast. The Breaking Point for sure. Definitely want to try to get the Untamed on. There's been some other guys. We want to get there's a podcast potentially set up with the Bearded Butchers that we've been in works with, that we kind of want to work on getting completed this fall before deer season, about how to take care of your deer carcasses in the field, stuff like that. So that's kind of the rundown of what we're going to do this summer. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It was very informal, just kind of an update on what things are doing here in SBO land. I'm not sure what's on deck for next week. Hopefully I can get one of these podcasts we just talked about.
Yeah, we might try to get together this weekend with some people and
start on some of these podcast projects.
But this is just a little quick hitter.
Yep.
That's about all we got.
Stay tuned for the Family Dream Farm series, which will be coming out in the next week or two. I want to get a weekly episode of that going on sometime. Probably like Wednesday or Thursday night, I'll have a weekly episode.
Yep.
I don't know what the content will be. It'll be different every week. There'll be a lot of backstory on those episodes. There'll be, we're talking about a lot of things that happened in the past and then incorporating them into what we're doing now.
And then a lot of history of the family farm.
Yeah,
stuff
a
like
lot
that.
of history of the family farm I've gathered. It should be a real cool series for us.
We've been doing a lot of digging into the barns, the old family farm barns here that have a whole bunch of old equipment.
Yep.
We've been working on some of that stuff, so you'll see some new old equipment around in our videos as well.
Yep, and you'll see some of the, you'll get a little bit more of in-depth look at what things look like.
I think
here
we'll have
at
to
the
do a
family
walk
farm.
around with some of our equipment later. Kind of talk about what we use and how we use it.
I have that actually written down for the pilot episode. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that we're doing on this farm. This is the equipment that we're using. You know, we're not a full-scale operation, 100 horsepower tractor, combine drills. We don't have
none
all
of
that
that.
stuff. So everything that we're doing, you can be done with a side-by-side, a pickup truck, an ATV, or a 32 horsepower tractor.
Because that's what we use.
Because that's what we have. So
So
all
we'll
this stuff,
run down some of our equipment
Yep.
and stuff like that. And I'm sure a lot of the farming nerds will correct us on a lot of the terminology as well.
We are not experts on any of this stuff. So.
A lot of these implements we call something, and they're actually technically something else.
and
And they're homemade, most of them.
And that also brings up another point. We will have another series coming up on the SBO YouTube channel this fall, probably. It's going to be called Deer Camp Tours. It's kind of a piggyback. You know, this Family Dream Farm is kind of a piggyback off of like the Bill Winke's Dream Farm series. You know, he bought a farm and he's redoing it on YouTube. We haven't bought a farm, but we have this Family Dream Farm that we've been working on for the last 20 years since we've been old enough to kind of start manipulating it. That's what this is kind of based off of. We're going to do the Deer Camp Tours thing, which is kind of like the Exodus series. What's that Exodus series that they do?
Deer cribs.
Deer
Something.
cribs.
Deer-
Yeah, about people's
like that.
trophy rooms and stuff. The Deer Camp Tours are going to be kind of similar to that. We have a lot of camps over the years that we've done tours for, and we have archived in our video log that we can release. You know, our Indiana camps at 2 different places, West Virginia, Southern Ohio, the home farm,
And a lot
Pennsylvania,
of our
trout camp.
stuff is more realistic for the normal person because we're not building.
Yeah, if you're going
we're not
hunting-
Midwest whitetail.
Right, yeah.
We're-
If you're going hunting for the weekend, you want to take a look at what our camp looks like. That's what our series is going to kind of be. Plus our homes and our, the deer shop here and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
that's our series that we have coming this fall.
I think that's good.
I think that's all I got.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, this is Deer Shot Podcast, and we are out.
Out.